she's going to pray that her child doesn't come in contact with an infectious disease and die.
Well, we see how that's before. I mean, we have the parents of that poor little girl who had diabetes, and they decided to pray because they believe in more strongly than she did. They didn't vaccinate all their other kids and then decide one day that God says, I'm done with this. They were just, I don't know, true believers. You're a fake believer. You just decided one day you wanted to change. They were true believers, and boy, did their kid pay the price for their beliefs and their ignorance. She's dead. They killed her. She was diabetic. They didn't take her to a doctor. They didn't get her diagnosed. They didn't do anything. They just sat there and prayed while she got sicker and sicker and sicker, and they're fine with it because it's God's will. Well, now she's dead. Diabetic ketoacidosis, sent her into a coma. She was DOA at the hospital, and they're getting ready to finally face trial for killing their daughter. And I hope they face up to 25 years apiece, I think, is the maximum penalty. I hope they both get the maximum. And I really wish somebody would raise the maximum. Because to me, yeah, we have an interest in protecting people. I don't want to make a special case thing that says, oh, if you're the parent of a child and that child dies as a result of your gross negligence, that should be more viewed as worse than if you killed another adult through your gross negligence. I don't necessarily want to make that special case. But we kind of do. Because we don't get to decide who gets to become a parent and who doesn't. We don't have a licensing facility. We don't require any special training or certification. Pretty much, if you can get laid, you can become a parent. That's just the way it goes. It's at least possible. And once people become a parent, all of a sudden society has this, whoa, we can't touch anything that happens in your home. That's sacrosanct. You get to raise your child however you want to. That is your right as a human being. And in some areas, in most areas, I'm fine with that, up until the point where we're doing harm and risking doing harm. That's where I think we have an obligation to step in. And that's where I think it's fine to say, you know what, you're entitled to believe that this is God's plan for your kid to lay here sick until it either miraculously jumps up and goes out to play hopscotch or croaks. You're entitled to believe that. However, you're not entitled to take action or avoid taking action based on that belief. That's the problem. And now there's a little girl dead over it. It's not the first little girl. It's not even the first little girl we've mentioned on this show that's died because of stupid stuff like this. Now, yes, okay, it's different. The diabetes isn't necessarily the same as the vaccination, but there's a connection there that I don't think anybody can deny. The idea that we are going to place the health of our children, and in the case of vaccinations, risk the health of every other child that our child comes in contact with, just because we have a religious belief that God's watching out for him, or whatever God wants is going to happen, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're praying to a rock in your backyard, or Rick Warren's Yahweh, Yeshua, Jesus, or, a Hindu God. It doesn't matter. If you can't demonstrate that what you're doing is actually better for the child than secular alternatives, modern medicine, you're corrupt. You have given up your humanity. You have given up your empathy. You have given up your sanity. And your kid is going to pay the cost. And that's where I think we ought to step in. And I hope they throw the book at both of them. And I hope that this type of thing starts getting prosecuted more often in more places. And I'm not just picking on Christian Scientists or Amish people or anybody. If the anti-vaxxer crowd, because of their ridiculous beliefs that aren't in any way religious, jeopardize the lives of their kids and other people's kids, I hope they throw the book at them too. It's time. It's, with all the problems here, in the world that we face, the last thing we need is an epidemic of ignorant parents. I think we've been facing that epidemic for years, and this is one way to possibly curb it. And all these parents who have dead children now because they prayed instead of seeking medical attention, we hear about people who've been scammed coming out and saying, Finally, after $400,000 and putting my entire family out living on the street, I realized that I was scammed, and I want to, admit that and tell other people and maybe prevent this from happening. I'm not aware of any stories. I'm still waiting for somebody to email me one, or at least we don't hear about it, where there's a family who, for religious reasons, let's say, doesn't get their kid medical attention. The kid dies, and then the family says, "Holy crap! How dumb were we? Look what we did to our kid. Not only were we wrong, but we're incredibly remorseful of this, and now we understand and realize that this concept of maybe not getting rid of the entire concept of God, but the entire concept of intercessory prayer, for example, is hogwash. That we're thinking beings who have an obligation to the children we produce to protect them. You don't hear those stories. You don't hear people coming out saying, I used to be a Christian Scientist, but I prayed instead of seeking a doctor, and I killed my son, and now I'm here to tell all of you that Christian Science is wrong. That just doesn't happen. There are times when we have to step in. Here's an idea for all you anti-vaxxers and all you God-praying, we don't need modern medicine stuff. Stop washing your dishes.
Yeah.
Stop putting food in the refrigerator. If God wants the food to stay good enough for you to eat, He won't let any germs or bacteria get in there that could make your kid sick or your family sick. By not vaccinating your kid, you're doing the exact same thing as not washing your dishes and not putting food in the refrigerator. You hypocritical moron.